Hey, this game has these things in it, so if you're uncomfortable with that stuff, don't watch this. When you think of a hard game, you probably think of something that's challenging. Elden Ring, Hollow Knight, Huni Pop. Now how about a game that's hard, but it's hard because of the design choices? Recently, I played a game called Fear and Hunger 2 Termina. Let me tell you about some features it has. You can step in a bear trap, losing your legs, fall in a hole and lose 2 hours of progress, lose a coin flip, get choked by a priest, then get left like this, take the wrong turn and get burned to death, try to save your game but you get turned into mold, save again but then get woken up by this dude, lose another coin flip, get choked by his parasite penis, and die. This whole game is so weird and fucked up. I needed a censor mod just to record this. There is so much that could go wrong in a run, and every mistake you make, even the little ones, has your team weakened at best and dead at worst. This game is vile. This shit is unfair. By all means, this should be a terrible game. But, oh my god, I don't remember the last time I played something this much fun. That took 2 hours. It's good, boys. Today I want to talk about the game Fear and Hunger 2 Termina, the cruel, unfair, disgusting RPG that I cannot recommend enough. You play as one of 14 contestants forced to partake in the Festival of Termina, a killing game where you have only 3 days to be the last one standing, and if there's even just one other person by the 4th day, well, take a guess what happens. This video is assuming you don't know much about the game and why you should listen to me and play it yourself. Seriously, play this one. I beat it 3 times in a week, it's so good. Anyway, I'll explain it now, so subscribe if you fuck with me, and enjoy the video. The Festival of Termina takes place in the city of Prahevel, and this chaotic shithole is the setting for the whole game's events. It's actually very early on when you meet the main antagonist of the game, a jester-looking man known as Pergola. You meet with him during a dream on the way to Prahevel on top of the moon tower. He's the one that explains exactly why you're here. Basically, one of the older gods, Rare the moon god, is giving these 14 lucky humans the chance to, quote-unquote, reach for illustrious heights, whatever that means. He then states right after that this is probably confusing to you and dips out, but not before telling you that you need to head to somewhere called the tower, and on the way to the tower is the entire game. When you wake up from the dream, you find out that your train has mysteriously stopped. Getting off to investigate, you get to meet some of the other passengers. Turns out that you all had the same dream, and right now everyone is just as confused as to what it meant. Most of them introduce themselves, and most decide to just head to Prahevel on foot to ask around or whatever. With nothing better to do, you go too. Hell yeah, you can control your character now. And now that you can, I'll actually explain the game. If you open your menu, you'll notice a few things on your character. Hunger, body, mind, and the phobia that you have. Your phobia is randomly generated at the start of the game, and depending on what it is, enemies that are related to your phobia are harder to dodge and deal more damage to you. For example, I was given erotophobia, so the woodsman here would have those set effects on me. Body is your HP. If it goes to 0, you die. Basic shit. Mind is more like your mana bar. A lot of skills cost a certain amount of mind, and it slowly goes down over time. However, if your mind reaches 0, then you get panophobia, the fear of everything. You don't want it. Your hunger bar also slowly goes down over time, but honestly, this one's not that big of a deal. If it goes down to a certain point, then your max health goes down, but you'll have a lot of food in the game, trust me. Your mind and body, on the other hand, are problems. To get your body back up, you'll need to use blue herbs or blue potions, as well as a few other items. For your mind, you'll either need to drink alcohol or smoke a little bit. The items to heal yourself are limited, which is why you'll need to scavenge the city of Prahevel to keep all 3 of your bars in a good spot. Termina is a resource management game. I'm just gonna call it Termina from now on. You'll have to constantly loot barrels, chests, and boxes for items to keep yourself healthy and not die. Each lootable spot is completely randomized each time you play and every time you die. For chests in particular though, you're given a prompt to choose either heads or tails if you try to open it. If you win, then you get a random weapon, armor piece, accessory, the list goes on. If you lose though, then the chest is empty. Now this may just seem like bullshit RNG, and it is. There isn't really a positive here. It only exists to make the game more difficult, since this way you won't be getting an item every time. And because you're getting such a little loot, Termina always feels one step ahead of you all the time. And especially in the early game, you never feel like you're the one who's in control. The game is playing you. If you didn't listen to what I said in the intro, you should realize now that the game is supposed to be hard, which is exactly why you'll need more people in your party to help you out. The city of Prahevel is no pushover. You'll be shot at and have to dodge shit on the floor, not to mention all the enemies around the place. But along the way, you'll run into the other contestants, and depending on when and where you meet them, you can ask if they'd want to join your party. Trust me, you'll want party members. Whether you can find them when they want to join or not, they'll still be important to the game. So, let's talk about the contestants. Before the game started, you got to choose between 8 of the contestants to play as, each having their own class and being good at different things. There are still 14 total contestants, but it just means that 6 of them are unplayable. They also all have their own lore and reason for being in Prehevel. For example, Marina was born there and wants to talk to her dad because she thinks he was involved in her mother's death. Dawn wants to learn more about some mysterious ritual that his loved ones were killed in, which seemed to originate from Prehevel. Marco doesn't even have business here, but he was running from the Mafia and got on the first train that left his city, which just so happened to lead to Prehevel. The character I chose for this run was Karen, a journalist. She's heard about a mysterious person named Kaiser that suddenly rose to power way too quickly despite not having much publicity. Kaiser then suddenly seized control of the city of Prehevel, and Karen, thinking that something was wrong, wanted to investigate personally. None of the characters even knew about the greater scheme that was going on, and honestly, they were all just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Because each contestant has their own personality, depending on who you pick, a lot of the dialogue options change, which is something I really like and don't see that often. During the intro, while the passengers speculate why the train stopped, Karen can actually tell them that she's a journalist and give her insight, prompting this argument between her and Dawn. But the main thing that matters in choosing a character is their class and the skills they get from it. A lot of their skills can be used outside of combat, for example, Abella being able to open certain doors using her short circuit skill. To use it, you can either play as Abella or recruit her. I mentioned it earlier, but if you're in the right place at the right time, you'll have the opportunity to recruit a contestant. Okay, this next part is really important, and I barely talked about it, so I'll just elaborate on it now. The Festival of Termina is 3 days long, each day being split into morning, evening, and night. Every time you sleep in a bed, which is also the way you save the game, it progresses to the next part of the day. That means you technically have to beat the game while only having 8 guaranteed saves. But because sleeping progresses the day, new characters are able to be recruited when you do. You could get Abella immediately on the morning of day 1, but some people need maybe the night of day 1 or the evening of day 2. It's different for everyone. I said how some contestant skills could be used outside of combat, but the skills you can use in combat are definitely more useful. I'll talk about the skills later, but first I want to explain how Termina's combat actually works. This is my favorite part. So, Termina is a turn-based RPG. Now, before you all get bored once you hear the word turn-based, let me explain how Termina does it differently. In a typical RPG, each enemy gets to only go once. For example, 3 enemies means they have 3 turns. But in Termina, if an enemy has 2 arms, they attack you twice. 3 arms, then 3 attacks from just 1 enemy. Yup. Getting hit in this game sucks too. At least like 80% of enemies can give you some kind of debuff, like bleeding or infection. Every hit you take you'll have to live with or be forced to use your limited healing items, since there's no Poke Center that you can just go to heal up to full. However, the entirety of combat in Termina is based around the fact that you can choose which limb of the enemy to remove. Going for the arms means they can't attack. Going for the legs means they can't dodge very well. But the thing is, you can only ever finish a fight if you destroy either the head or the torso of an enemy. The torso has higher health, but the head has higher evasion. Oh yeah, and enemies can remove your limbs too. If they have some blade kinda weapon, there's a good shot you'll lose one of your own limbs if they hit you. Losing one arm doesn't really matter much, it just makes it so you can't use two-handed weapons, but if you lose both arms, then you're screwed. If you lose one leg, then you can't sprint, but if you lose both legs, then you're forced to crawl for the rest of the game. Lose all 4 limbs, and it's an instant game over. Obviously, you don't want that, so it's your job to avoid it from happening. This limb system ends up turning what would be bullshit combat into a really fun puzzle game. Do you go for the arms and make it so it won't attack? The legs, then the head? Stay safe and go for the torso, but not being sure if it'll die or not? Or fuck it, go straight for the head and pray to RNG you land a hit. It's up to you to decide which limb is better to target and in what order. The answer is different for every encounter, and you're the one that has to find the solution. You can also just go for the torso every time, that usually works. Another thing that enemies can do is this. Oh fuck! Coin flips can happen in battles too. This is known as a devastating attack, or a coin flip attack. They're both right. Get used to seeing these because a ton of enemies have one. If you win the coin flip, then it usually ends with you dodging the attack with no downsides. But if you lose, oh man, if you lose this 50-50, you'll either be instantly killed or you'll be put in such a shitty situation that you might as well reset the run. Why does a mechanic like this exist? For fun. And god, I love it. Now you might be thinking, oh, but Adam, why don't I just grind weak enemies and get over leveled? Well, actually, you can't, because this game doesn't have an XP system. In Termina, when you win a fight, you are given nothing except for what you loot from a body. I couldn't believe it either, a turn-based RPG that doesn't have leveling. Every enemy you meet will stay that strong while you're stuck being this weak. But because there's no XP in the game, it actually works in its favor in a way I really like. Your character in-game isn't leveling up, but you are, the player. You are the one gaining the experience because Termina is based all around one big idea, using game knowledge. Think about it like this. Because there isn't any grinding, you're technically stuck at level 1 while every enemy is over leveled. The only thing you can change about your character is the equipment they have on. This too, just give me a second. And even though every fight feels unfair, every fight is also possible. You just have to know how to win. So far, I've only really told you about how the game hates you and how you're screwed if you try to play it, but there's a few more parts to the Termina combat puzzle that I haven't mentioned yet. In the combat menu, there's a button you have called Rev Up. The yellow triangles you have next to your name is how many ref points you have. You get 1 ref point every turn, and they max at 3 points. When you use a ref point, it increases the damage you do for that 1 attack. Use 2, then even more damage. But when using 3, not only do you deal way more damage, but you also attack twice. You will be using this all the time. But now you have another choice to make in combat. Do you rev now and try to take a limb, or do you wait till you can rev 3 times and try to kill it? Of course, you won't know unless you try. The next part is the contestant skills that affect actual combat. I'm finally talking about it. Every contestant has different skills. For example, Osa can get max rev points every time he guards, and Marco can increase his evasion of 50%. For my character Karen, she's able to persuade the enemy and use the insane power of pleading for her life or hitting them with logic. Persuade varies heavily on each enemy, with some skipping their turn, some dealing less damage, but most doing nothing at all. I'll just say this now, she's one of the less good characters. Now, does that mean Karen sucks while Osa and Marco are the best in the game? Yes. Yes, it does. But you can still make her good. Whenever you go to sleep, you get to talk to Percola during your dreams, and he lets you use this, the Hexen. This is where you can learn skills and basically make yourself overpowered if you know what you want. At the bottom are skills from the contestants, and at the top are the skills from the older gods. Honestly, bro, just use a skills wiki for this because none of them have descriptions. However, you can't just learn them for free. For any skill from an older god, around the map you'll find the ritual circles. There are 6 older gods, and if you found a book of the god that you want, you can draw their sigil on these circles and increase your affinity with your selected god. This gains access to their skills in the Hexen, as well as triggering an effect related to the god you drew. For example, if you drew the god of fear and hunger, you'll get a free save that doesn't progress the day. Make sure you draw the right god on the right circle type though, or else you'll have just wasted one. Some of the god skills are complete dog ass, and some of them are the best skills in the game. For the contestant skills, you'll sadly be stuck with only the ones of whoever you chose. Is what I would say if you weren't able to attack them yourself and steal their soul. When you find contestants around Perhevel, you'll almost always have the option to attack them. If you win the fight, you get their soul, allowing you to learn the skills of the contestant you killed. Every contestant has a different soul, and sometimes it's honestly better to kill them rather than recruit them. If you use the Hexen correctly, know which skills you want from which gods and which contestants, pair this with the right accessories, you can pretty much make this game your bitch and become an overpowered, unkillable god. Oh yeah, one last thing, you need soul stones to learn skills, and you get soul stones from cutting heads off and sacrificing them to this thing. Yeah. There are a few more things you can do to fight against the difficulty that the game doesn't tell you, but honestly, it's more fun to find those out for yourself. Also, it would make the game too easy if I told you all of them. I'll tell you one, every time there's a coin flip, hold shift and you can use one of your lucky coins to throw a second coin. If you win just one of the 2 coin flips, then it counts as a win. Anyway, I'm done talking about the combat. Let's talk about the horror and the monster design. And I don't mean the horror of losing your progress, although that is scary. I'm talking about the art and the lore type shit, as Termina is a horror game. It's a body horror. In the intro, I said the game was weird, but it is all intentional art design. It's meant to be disgusting. You see people with their meat out all the time, and it's to show that this is a world without any decency. The normal rules and customs that we're used to just don't apply to Perhevel. In walking around the place, you see some crazy shit. Like, what the fuck is even happening to these things? And God, they scream so loud. Speaking of walking around, the first time I was going through this foggy area and got shot out of nowhere, I deadass jumped so bad. Or when I was just having a stroll through the back streets of town. Suddenly you hear a bottle break, hear some chainsaw shit, and 2 seconds later you're getting assaulted by the mob. And what's that? You hear distant laughing? Have fun. During your time in Perhevel, you'll have definitely run into some of these enemies. These used to be humans, but have now been afflicted with something called a moon scourge. It's inflicted on people by the moon god Rare, and it's the reason why most enemies in the game look the way they do. Moon scorched beings vary heavily in appearance. The most common form of moon scorch you'll see are the ones that still kinda look like humans, although there are special cases. The most notable being that moon scorch can happen to the other contestants as well, turning them into literal monsters. The first time I played through Termina, I really didn't want to kill the contestants because it made me feel bad, but fighting something that looks like this, well, I felt less bad. Every contestant moon scorches at different times during the festival, and you will have to hunt them all down eventually if you want to beat the game. Take too long and it'll happen to you. Just wait in this sick ass bar instead. Anyway, that was me yapping about Termina. I really like this game, probably like top 10 best games I've ever played, and I explained it like shit. There was a lot I also didn't explain, you'll just have to trust me. Oh yeah, it has 3 endings by the way, so if you do ever play it, I recommend trying to get them all. Also, I found this out while I was writing the script, and I don't know how the hell I only just learned about this, but a 2.0 version of Termina has been in development for like 3 years and is probably coming out pretty soon. So I guess this video is gonna be outdated in like a month or something, and I just wasted my time. Whatever, I'm happy how it turned out. Anyway, if you're still here, thanks. I'll see y'all in whatever the hell I make next.